Stepping out on a limb with purpose, great things happen when we decide to climb out on a limb with purpose, great things happen. Come and go with me out on a limb.
Welcome to the podcast, Out on a Limb. It is the thought-provoking series where we examine some fundamental elements of life. It is a space where we have the hard but necessary conversations. So these topics include love, inspiration, motivation, a balanced lifestyle, the church in the 21st century, and so much more. It is a space where we seek to inspire as we engage real ideas with real people. Come take this journey with us out on a limb. With me on the set this afternoon, I have some wonderful people that's joining me that will share valid information with you as we have the discussion. Firstly, I have the illustrious Dr. Joan Pinckney. Joan Pinckney is a graduate of the Jamaica Theological Seminary and the Caribbean Graduate School of Theology. She also holds a doctorate of philosophy in family studies from Oxford Graduate School, Tennessee. And Dr. Pinckney is a motivational speaker and a licensed counseling psychologist. She's known for her high standards in facilitating workshops, seminars, and conferences locally, regionally, and internationally. She holds as her motto, whatever she does, professionally or otherwise, it is all for the glory of God. Dr. Pinckney. And then next, a lady that needs little or no introduction, Denise Harris McFarlane. Denise Harris McFarlane is a public health specialist at a very notable Jamaican company. She holds a Bachelor's of Science degree in nursing, education, and a Master's of Science degree in epidemiology, and is currently completing her doctorate of public health. Finally, the only thorn on the set, Mr. Romain Sowan. Romain Sowan is a public servant with over 13 years in education, an ordained minister, an itinerant speaker holding bachelor's in guidance and counseling and in theology, and a master's degree in educational planning and policy. He's a family man, loves reading and sports. Ladies and gentlemen, this is our panel for this afternoon, and we are so happy to have them. Your host, yours truly, Mark Reid, and I'm the last person to effectively introduce myself. Safe to say, I am a family man, a father of two. I am a born-again believer. I hold a bachelor's degree in guidance and counseling. I am a minister of religion and a public speaker, a preacher and a teacher of the Word of God, and just a lover of humanity. Thank you for having us this evening. So, we are diving into this discussion this evening, one that I believe will bring information and inspiration in a time as this. Our focus this evening, we will be discussing the topic of love. Everybody wants to hear about love. And so we will be talking about love, but not just love broadly, because love is such a wide concept. Love is such an interesting and in some cases controversial topic. And so we will be drilling down on one area of love called Eros. And Eros, as you will hear a little later, really is a Greek word that describes the romantic, passionate, sexual side of love. Did I say sexual? Yes, side of love. And that's common to all human beings. Now, when we think of love, the English language really comes up short in giving full meaning to what love is about. So we run to the Greeks, who are really awesome with language. And so the Greeks now will break down love into different contexts and categories, if you may. And so, once again, the intimate, sexual, passionate type of love is called in the Greek word, Greek language, Eros. And that's what we will be zeroing on this evening. So, my able panel will guide us through this discussion as we look into what are we talking about when we talk about Eros, when we talk about the passionate, sexual side of love, that kind of love that makes some persons uncomfortable to talk about, but it makes them happy to engage in. I find that to be ironic. Nevertheless, let's jump on in. So, let me pose my first question to our panelist, Dr. Joan Pinkney. Doc, help us to understand this. What role does physical attraction play in the sexual, intimate, passionate kind of love we call Eros? That's part A. What role does physical attraction play?
Let me first of all commend you on taking this path, and thank you for having me on your set. Physical attraction is a big part of Eros love, and it is central and in fact foundational to what Eros love speaks of. So it's often very intense and powerful and very immediate. So once you see someone, you recognize that there are some sparks that begin to happen because of the connection. And over time, it leads into physical intimacy and the connection. So it's really driven by a strong desire for physical intimacy, which can manifest as physical affection, kissing, hugging, and of course other physical activities that involve sexual activities. So it is important in the whole business of love in general, but it should not be the ultimate focus, because in and of itself, it can be very misleading.
Okay, wow. Physical attraction can be misleading. Would you say then that physical attraction in relation to Eros love, the passionate sexual type, would you consider this to be a starting point, like a precursor?
It can be for some persons, but having an attraction and it leading into the passion is very important in a relationship. It's certainly in an intimate relationship. And so some persons start there, and then make their way into a relationship and connect otherwise in terms of the mind and so on. But very often that starts the relationship. That's a spark that starts. It sometimes it gets hot.
All right.
and burns itself out. Sometimes it is sustained because other things are thrown into the mix to help sustain it. But in and of itself, it very often is not going to sustain itself.
Wow.
But it does start with it.
Interesting. Well, I did say that was part A, but now you have made point B redundant because you said it is sometimes sustainable
Yeah.
and sometimes it burns out.
Absolutely.
Eros is interesting. Can Eros exist? A sexual, passionate, on fire type of love. Can it exist without deep emotional intimacy?
When we talk about intimacy, there are layers to intimacy. So intimacy, you start off with the cliche and you elevate to the point where you are vulnerable.
Yeah.
A lot of times persons see intimacy as just having sex or just hugging and kissing, and that is, but the ultimate intimacy is where you are vulnerable to the person. You're literally naked, not just physically naked, but your mind, your entire life. You present yourself to this person, and this person can literally see through you. That is the ultimate level of intimacy. For you to really have fulfillment, that's where you really need to be. Very often we don't go that far. We have a sense of enjoyment of the passion and so on, but we really don't get to that deep level of intimacy. So to answer the question, can it exist without deep emotional intimacy? It will not carry. It will hold for a while, but it will not carry because it needs the balance of the other areas that, or the elements rather,
Yeah.
that makes up for true intimacy to carry it on. Because yes, it really needs the other elements to be able to carry it on. So it's not in and of itself sustainable.
Got you. But it's a good starting point. Did I say good starting point? Because I like Eros. I do.
Who doesn't?
It's a good thing. Who doesn't?
Yeah.
It takes a man to say that. All right. Well, given the importance of Eros, my next question, Doc, is...
You still?
Yeah, you see, you are the adult in the room, so you have to talk to us about this. How does Eros love impact mental and emotional well-being?
Well, it really generates or excites the hormones oxytocin. And of course, this helps with the reduction of stress, and it's a fuzzy feeling that you get when you're in that ecstasy space, or when you're warming up, like the iron that you plug in for the woman and she warms up, or the switch that you switch on for the man, the light switch that is.
Yes.
Yeah, a woman warms up like an iron and a man switches on like a light switch. Doesn't take much for him to get going.
Doc,
The passion, yes.
May I interject? Why when you speak of the man, you said switches on, and I notice you do. What's that about? Okay. I just want to be
The
clear.
light switch that goes up.
Okay.
Well, you can put any kind of strength meaning to it. That's fine. I have no issue with that at all.
Wow, this is interesting.
Animated.
Yes.
It's animated, and that's okay.
For now, I'm gonna leave you alone. But if you were to pick, and you know, given your experience, you can speak from a learned position. Which gender is more susceptible to the negative effects experienced as a result of the absence of sexual, passionate layer of love?
Women are by naturally very emotional, and women tend to like the priming, the foreplay to get them to that point of ecstasy. Men don't necessarily need a lot of priming to get to that stage. But studies suggest that women may be more likely to experience negative emotions and psychological distress when there's a lack of romantic love or when their romantic needs are not met. But men may be quicker to fall in love. They may also be more affected by the absence of the passion. So a woman would, as I said, would need to warm up, but a man, right away, he wants to see evidence of the passion. If he doesn't see the interest, which suggests to him that she's not there and she's not desiring him, it can be a major turn-off. But for the woman, you have to have the time to increase the energy so that she can feel comfortable in being vulnerable to you. I don't know if I'm answering your question.
In part, but I still want to drill into it a little more, because it is commonly said that when a man lacks sexual satisfaction, he's at his worst. He's grouchy. He cannot afford a smile like Romaine is smiling. So we don't want to get into his business, but given he's been smiling all afternoon, so that means he may not fall into that category. But when a man lacks sexual satisfaction, he said he's at his worst. He's less focused. He doesn't function well at work, and he is grouchy. Is there any truth to that?
Well, one research jumps in my mind where the needs of the male was compared with the needs of the female within the context of marriage. And what came out was that the need of sexual desire, or the need for the sexual desire of the man to be met, was the highest ranking in that survey over time. For the woman, the need for the highest ranking need was affection. Sexual desire is embedded in affection, but for the man, it was straight up sexual need. So a man is wired to love, to have sex, and he doesn't need to apologize for that. A woman is wired to love affection, which eventually over time can lead to sex. But a woman can have sexual fulfillment without having all the way. For the man, all the way is necessary. So when he doesn't get the all the way, he's going to be miserable.
Wow.
So don't tempt a man and leave him hanging, because he would do you something bad.
Okay. Sexual satisfaction is critical.
It is.
That's a takeaway here. Is that what you're getting, Denise?
Well, absolutely, but I really don't understand how you didn't ask when a woman lacks, what happened? You don't have that question there?
Well, Doc, Doc pretty much answered. She
when
said
a man lacks, what about when a woman lacks?
She is less likely, and based on how the woman is wired, sexual satisfaction is embedded in affection for her. Right. But men tend to, based on how we are wired, we compartmentalize the whole thing. So we have sexual gratification over here, intimacy over here, tenderness and affection and all of that. We're not saying, and I'm not getting from the doc, that there is no gap and there is no need. But based on how we are wired, if you look at the proportion of the hormones, male versus female, then that speaks for itself.
But I want her to correct the wiring, because woman too needs to be satisfied. We don't want to leave that out. Women too need to go all the way as well. And I think that's one of the things that sometimes affect relationship between men and women, because some women, the satisfaction for women is more difficult. Okay. And some women will tell you they've never had that height or have gone all the way or have that kind of emotional fulfillment or physical fulfillment like a male does. Okay. But it is necessary as well. And can break relationship too. Yes. In that kind of Eros connection.
A wise man said to me once that there are a few things that breaks a marriage. Bad finances, a miserable woman, and lack of sexual satisfaction. Now that one cuts both ways. So we're not going to sit here and say it's all a man thing, the sex. Oh no, because ladies, they just take a while to crank up. So again, I've used the term before that a woman is like an antique car. Priceless, but takes a while to crank up. But when that engine gets going, Eros chips in, sexual, passionate, wild. The tigress comes out, and you better be prepared. Wow, thank you, Doc. This is interesting. This is interesting. Well, we know that there are some misconceptions concerning this romantic, sexual type of love we call Eros. So, Romain, what are some common misconceptions? What do you know to be some common misconceptions about this romantic, sexual type of love?
It's often said that Eros is fleeting. It's fleeting. And so it's almost like a young love, puppy love kind of connotation to it. But for me, that's a misconception. And as Doc rightfully said, Eros, like other forms of love, must be fostered. It must be grown through communication, time spent, those things that foster other kinds of love does foster Eros as well. Another misconception is that Eros is independent of other forms of love. So it's almost like once you have passion, then you need nothing else. And for me, that's not true, because fire without wind and without fuel cannot last. And so you still need phileo, you still need storge, you still need agape. Because guess what? The truth is, Mark, and I'm going out on a limb here.
Yeah, please do.
The breast won't always be stiff. The bumper won't always be high.
Oh my God.
Hips won't always be there, but love must always be there.
And I could add that the penis won't always be
See
6
that?
o'clock.
So now it's
Always be 6 o'clock.
Out on a limb.
now it's a boys against girls.
You know, it's funny. I saw a meme a couple weeks ago on social media with a banana in about 3 stages. You had it at its optimum,
Yes.
and then you realized that it started to disintegrate.
Yes.
And somebody said that is how the penis of the man is. And so when all of that is
You mean it gets rotten too? Bananas do.
I guess it can't stand up to the test of time. So, I mean, you need that kind of unconditional love when all of what got you in the first place is gone. Then something else about her must ignite a passion in you so that that love can continue to grow.
Rather interesting. All right. Can the lack of sexual, passionate love adversely affect a marriage? And that's almost a no-brainer, but I still want you to speak to it. Can it affect the well-being of a marriage? The lack of it.
It does.
How?
So while I thought about it, it just dawned on me that if you're hungry, you'll find a restaurant. The restaurant does not offer what you need, or if the restaurant is closed, what do? You find another restaurant, because the need, the hunger is still there.
All right.
Let's bring it now to the marriage. If needs are unmet, and these are legitimate human needs, we are wired like that. We were made like that. And I know the whole matter of being able to control yourself comes into play. But then the truth is, if you lock shop, somebody else's shop is going to be open.
Oh no.
Okay.
We're out on a limb. We're out on a limb.
Wow.
And that shop might offer you what you really need.
Maybe on discount.
That is it.
Wow.
And so marriage that lacks,
Which is not always better.
that is it. Because sometimes it's synthetic grass on the other side, but
Right. It's not
sometimes you only know when you get over there.
Yes.
But because you lack that at home, and it is not an excuse, but it's a reason. A lack of sexual satisfaction, both male and female. And as Denise jumped out earlier, women need satisfaction too. And Doc can chime in a little here, but I think there is something within our culture that feeds into this notion of once a man is satisfied, then everything is good.
Okay.
And so it's often said by Jamaican men, them go for come, but them not care about the woman having an orgasm. And so while the lack of sexual satisfaction can drive you away, you can have sex without satisfaction.
Okay. That's interesting. That's interesting. So it affects the marriage, not just from the side of the man, but from the side of the woman. Romain, you're making this thing complex, and
We're out on a limb. Let's go out.
wow.
I think though that there has to be I spoke earlier about the other elements that should complement Eros, and Romain mentioned some of the other things. It's very, very important to have that complement, because as we said that the passion, while sometimes it is all in the mind and it don't translate to any other part of the body because of several reasons, from illness, from developmentally. As you get older, you find that there are certain things that are naturally going to decline. Eller?
Yes.
Are naturally going to decline. They're going to take a nosedive. Some nosedive deeper than some, sharper than some.
Oh, Lord.
But some are more, trickling.
Yeah.
But it's going to happen.
Happens in increments.
And so there has to be that understanding between the couple that this one is inevitable and that they grow together in understanding. So whereas you cannot have the burger because all the various trappings that should go into the burger is not going to happen. You still have the two buns, no pun intended. You still have the two buns, but you may only be able to put a little egg sprinkling with some little salt in it. And if that is what both of you can provide, enjoy it together. It may not be the long haul and the 1 hour of sweat. It may not be a penis that is erect. It may not necessarily even be a vagina that is able to take it because of menopause.
Doc, just a minute.
Because menopause inhibits sometimes.
Are you saying Eros, the passionate, sexual, fiery type of love, tell the world, are you saying that
Fire
it
dies
can
after a while.
it can exist when the biology is speaking? Can it?
Of course, a lot of it though may rest in the mind and in the memory.
Okay.
But because it is complemented with all of the other elements that make it good, you get to a place as a couple where you're satisfied with what you can get. Because that fire, albeit not flaming as it used to be, still burns.
Even a little coal under the ashes.
But I did not out.
Don't worry, Romain. It's okay.
That's right.
Even
That's it.
The fire goes out, the flame dies down,
don't let the fire go.
But it still exists.
but fire is still there.
But
There's
wow.
smoke coming.
Mark, if I may though, I know Denise mentioned it and Doc mentioned it, and I'm realizing that what's essential yet missing in Eros is a need for clear communication.
Okay.
Clear communication. And so you realize that even Denise speaking to the woman not having an orgasm, a lot of times, and just today I was reading something where somebody on social media was saying they don't know when their wife has an orgasm.
Okay.
And the truth is a lot of men don't know. And so a lot of, and the flip side of that is a lot of women are okay without having an orgasm.
Maybe because they
And
don't know
some
what they're
women
missing.
settle.
Yeah.
for not having an
Yeah.
orgasm because their
Yeah.
partner is not able
to.
to take them to that point. So,
So
sometimes it's not that they
communication.
don't want it. Sometimes it's a matter of settlement. And sometimes changing of a partner gets them better. And that's why you have relationships. There's another thing I wanted to focus on what you said about when what you said, the shop, there's a better a product somewhere else. And this is the reason why we have problems in marriages and relationship with persons finding younger persons, because the biological setup, as you age, some women prefer younger men, some men prefers younger women, because I think they can identify with that one structure that they're used to, that you know, that biological, the mindset, what's in there. So they're not remembering by memory. You know, they want to continue to live in that truth.
But isn't that a fallacy?
Well,
Yeah.
is it?
You tell me. Because, let me be practical. Out on a limb?
Yeah.
Let's go out on a limb. So John is 78 years old, but he would have experienced some lack in his lifetime. John may have had been the introvert at school. He was the guy who was not economically off, and so he did not wear the Nike, he didn't wear the designer, and so his confidence was not up there. Though he desired to be the hot guy in school, and though he desired to be the stud on the college campus, he never got the chance to live that. Now life would have turned over time. Starts a business and it is successful. John now wants to go back and live his 24-year-old self. So he picks up a girl who is 23 years old, at the peak of her sexual prowess. What can John at 78 years old do for 23-year-old Michelle?
I'm just going to tell you that there are some men, remember what age Sarah had her first child?
No, we're not in the Bible right now. No. We're not in the Bible right now.
But it still holds. Because Abraham must have been at a certain age.
But Denise, don't be devil's advocate. You and I know that
I'm trying
in
to
the
get
main,
I'm getting there.
in the main,
No, I'm trying
you're not there at 78.
There are but
Men.
some men whose libido is very strong and very high.
I agree with you.
That is one. And two, we're in the area where we do have help. There's pharmacological help. You might be able to see blue.
Viagra.
I'm not advertising. I'm saying you see blue, right? There's help. There's help for them to be able to get to, and that's several. That's just one among the number. To have them at that point of performance.
At the risk of heart attack and other.
Other things.
Yes.
Other things, but
Rather interesting.
the bargaining power for that 23-year-old compared to a 78-year-old,
Yes.
first of all, it comes with benefit because that person is already accomplished. So it's very easy in terms of the material things. And then the bargaining power, they have less bargaining power. You have more authority over that person.
So there's a whole psychological framework going on right there.
Things that have, combined with it. But you find that over time and after a while, some men don't become satisfied by their relationships that last, some don't.
Well, here is where we take a break. It's getting steamy in here. Out on a limb. I told you, come take this journey with us because we are leaving no stones unturned. Examining the passionate sexual side of love called Eros.